We are live. It's the Raw Prospect Podcast, episode 39. We have had some technical difficulties tonight, but we have it all figured out now. Co-host Emmy Nixon. I'm your host, Michael Wing, today. Today, it's the day before conference championship games in the NFL. We're going to give our predictions. We're going to touch on the coaching hires, and we're going to give some NBA teams grades here at the mid-season mark. So let's get started with our NFL predictions, starting with the AFC Championship game.
Okay. Titans, Chiefs. That's at 3:35, I believe.
Yep. Something.
This is a really interesting game, just based on the fact that you have a really bad rushing defense in the Chiefs, and one of the hottest running backs we have ever seen in Derrick Henry right now. He's having a historic playoff run right now. But really this game comes down to will the Titans be able to put up enough points, So I think I'm going to go with the Titans, but I expect that this will be it's going to come down to, can the Chiefs limit Derrick Henry? Can they beef up the line a little bit? The defensive line, can they hold up? Can they make him at least work for his gains?
Right.
Right now, it feels so effortless. These last two games, it's felt effortless. 9 yards, 10 yards, just gashing teams.
Right.
I'll
piggyback off that. You have to hit Derrick Henry first, right? Titans need another huge performance from him. I mentioned all these stats earlier. Kansas City's defense, although improved, they still struggle to stop the run, allowing 126 rushing yards per game, 26 in the league. Not good, and they allow 4.9 yards per carry, 29th in the NFL. Now, the question for Kansas City is, how do you do that? And you mentioned going with like a 5, you can say this in a minute, but going with that 5-1 front, because if you look at his numbers against stacked fronts, 8-man fronts in the regular season, he was first in carries, first in yards after contact, first in broken tackles, first in first downs. He was first in basically every category against 8-man fronts during the regular season, and he was very successful against that tight defense last week in the Ravens game and in the Patriots game when they tried to stop him that way. So I think for the Chiefs, the question becomes, how do you do it? You're not going to stop him, but you have to find ways to slow him down. And the interesting thing is, it seems as the game goes on, he gets better. Like in the third quarters of games, I think I saw a stat or something, he leads the league in yards and in rushing yards in the third quarter, and it's not even close. Once the third quarter hits, he gets stronger as the game goes on. So for Kansas City, Andy Reid, you have to find some way to at least slow him down. On the other side of the ball, I think Travis Kelce, he's the X factor here. Tennessee can't let him. Defensively, they can't let him go off like he did last week against Houston. 10 receptions, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns. You just can't allow that to happen, because when he's making plays in the middle of the field, it just makes it that much easier for Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman and all the other guys they have, Sammy Watkins, to
stretch the defense.
So you have to find ways to slow him down. I think, as I said earlier, I think the Titans have to score 30 points to win. And they did it. They scored 28 against Baltimore, so I'm not going to say it can't happen. It obviously could. But I think they need that, and I'm going with the Chiefs 30-24. So I think Mahomes makes one more play, that type of game. I think the Titans keep it close, though. And if they do win, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
everything that's happened up to this point.
It's just let me make some more points on the Chiefs here.
Yeah.
The receivers for the Chiefs, Hardman and Hill, they're the only receivers in the league to hit 20 miles per hour multiple times.
Wow.
It's unbelievable what they're able to do. Just lightning quick. And the Chiefs receivers, another key stat. They average 3 yards of separation.
Wow.
So they're getting open. They're getting a lot of a lot of separation, making these throws easier for Patrick Mahomes. So it really will be interesting to see if the Titans go with the approach of staying back, limiting the deep play, because then you can throw it short to Kelsey. Or if they go with pressuring the receivers, pressing the receivers up, making it tough to get off their breaks and their routes, throwing off the timing, which I think they will do. I think that has to be the way to go for Mike Vrabel, because you can't let them dictate the pace. You have to make it tough on them somehow, some way. But again, I just don't think the Chiefs can stop Derrick Henry. I think that's just what it's going to come down to. I think it's going to be a lot of 8-minute drives. And you look at the Titans since Ryan Tannehill took over, they are potent in the red zone. Like, they are dominant.
I think they've scored like something crazy, 30 touchdowns on their last 31 red zone possessions. I mean, it's amazing.
It's unbelievable
what they've been able to do down there, and that's another key that you bring up. I mean, the Titans defensively in both the New England game and the Baltimore game, they were good when Baltimore got down there, and they, it's that bend but don't break mentality that they've been playing with up to this point, and they have to keep that going, because if you allow Mahomes to stretch the defense and make those throws 20-plus yards downfield, it's over. Like, you're not going to be able to stop them.
Right.
And I think another key is you have to get some pressure. I mean, if you allow Mahomes and those receivers 5 seconds or more to get open, you're toast.
Right.
With their speed and their athleticism, it's just not going to work that way. So I think the best way for Tennessee is not to put all the burden on their defense. It's to play keep away with their offense and Derrick Henry. And that's what they've been doing up to this point. But with that, I think we should move on, keep it short and to the point.
Right. But another key point, though, just before we move on, the whole keep away thing goes out the window if Chiefs strike quick like we've seen them do.
Yeah, it does.
So that's another interesting part. We haven't seen – they haven't played an offense like this with their keep away. So that'll be interesting. But again, I'm gonna pick the Titans 34-31.
Okay. Green Bay at San Francisco in the NFC Championship game tomorrow night. I'll start us off here. I'm picking San Francisco to win, but not in a total blowout. I think it will be 34-27. They'll win by a touchdown. Look, I think I said this earlier when we were talking in our other screwed up podcasts. 3 keys for San Francisco, and they're easy, and they've been doing them all season. Establish the running game with Matt Breida and Raheem Mostert, whoever else they have, Tevin Coleman.
Right.
144 rushing yards per game, second in the league, only second to Baltimore. So that's no slouch of a running game. First in rushing touchdowns. Green Bay, like we said with Kansas City, was not strong in stopping the run, allowing 120 rushing yards per game, 23rd in the league. So I think San Francisco can and will establish an effective running game. They need to pressure Aaron Rodgers, that's the second key, and prevent third down conversions. Last week on third down, Aaron Rodgers, 9 of 11, 82% completion percentage, 120 yards, a touchdown, and a 155.8 quarterback rating.
Yep.
So that's what killed Seattle. I mean, if Rodgers doesn't, give him credit. This is what he does. He's Aaron Rodgers. But if he doesn't make those pinpoint throws to Jimmy Graham or Devontae Adams in those critical situations late in the game, we could be talking about a totally different story right now. We could have Seattle. I mean, they would have given Seattle the ball back with a couple minutes and 2 timeouts with Russell Wilson. I mean, you wouldn't doubt, but you must pressure him and you must get him off the field on third down. San Francisco has been great all year on third downs, defensively, only allowing 32% conversion rate, second in the NFL. I said this earlier. For Green Bay, you want it to turn into Aaron Rodgers against Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't want it to be smash mouth. This isn't the Green Bay's identity, and it hasn't been all year.
Right.
And I think for Green Bay, it's very important that they convert their red zone opportunities into touchdowns. You have to. You're on the road. You have to. You're not going to beat them with field goals.
Right.
They were very good, second in the league in red zone scoring. And you have to take care of the ball and win the turnover battle.
Right.
That's what you have to do. Those are the keys for both teams. I'm taking San Francisco based off their physical style, their running game. I love Kyle Shanahan. The play calling, everything I think has come together. And San Francisco, Kansas City, it's very interesting because I think, and you mentioned this earlier, I think it's kind of a nightmare matchup for Kansas City because of what San Francisco presents, and that physicality and that, pressure the quarterback with that front and play 7-man, back in coverage because they're able to create pressure with their 4-man front. I think it's kind of a nightmare, but it would be a very interesting game. So that, I know I'm kind of rambling, but any thoughts?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you on that. Yeah, that possible Super Bowl matchup, I mean, it's 100% a nightmare for the Chiefs. I'm sure Andy Reid would come up with something.
Yeah.
That's another conversation for another day.
2 weeks to prepare,
right,
so he
right.
could definitely do it.
Right. But let me just hit my points real quick.
Okay.
For this game, it's just going to come down to, can Garoppolo take care of the football in key situations? This 49ers team, they're not set up to where he has to throw it 40 times, 50 times.
I think they lose if they do that.
Right, exactly. I don't think they have to. They don't.
Yeah, they don't have to, though, which is good.
But the key thing here is you just need Garoppolo to, it's 3rd and 10, 5 minutes left in the game, throw a dot. Will he be able to do that? And I'll give him credit. He has been able to do that throughout the season in key moments. But this is the NFC Championship. Mm-hmm. Can he rise
to the occasion
and make it happen? It's to be determined.
To be determined.
But
sure.
I will say that the 49ers are by far the better team. I think I don't think it's going to be a blowout like some people are saying, but I'm going to pick the 49ers just simply because their defense, it's nothing to be trifled with. I think at key moments they'll be able to make the stops they need to. And the fact is that Aaron Rodgers has not looked the same this year.
Yeah.
He looked great in that playoff game, but, I mean, this season has been kind of a down year. So, if they can pressure Aaron Rodgers, and if you look at that last matchup, this goes along with my point. He didn't complete one pass over 20 yards in that entire game.
Yeah.
0 for 10. That's the only time in his career he hasn't been able to do that.
Yeah,
that just proves how good this defense is. Mm-hmm. I'm picking the Niners to win. I'm gonna say 30-23.
Okay.
Touchdown.
So about the 15-minute mark. So we're gonna move on. Let's hit on coaching hires real quick.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we'll get into our NBA grades, and we'll be done. So we'll run through our list, I guess, like we did earlier.
Right.
Our top 5.
Just
run over
water
it real
down
quick.
a little bit.
Yeah. So at number 1, and I'm just gonna go down the list. Right. I think the Redskins made the best hire. I think Ron Rivera was probably the best, maybe, coaching candidate out there.
I'd agree with that.
8 years in Carolina, 2011, 2019, winningest coach in their franchise's history, 2-time coach of the year, so his resume speaks for itself. I think the most important thing is he's going to bring a much-needed culture change to this Redskins organization. I mean, that's what everyone's been saying, and that's what everyone believes, so why am I to doubt that? That's where really the Redskins' problems are rooted, is within their culture and what it's been in the past 20 years. They just haven't found the right guy yet. Jay Gruden, losing record. Mike Shanahan, losing record. Jim Zorn, Joe Gibbs, whoever it was. I mean, it's been a disaster. And you made good points earlier. They have young talent. I think you got to give Haskins some time to develop. I think they have Darius Geis, young running back who's missed time with injury. Terry McLaurin.
Oh,
That's
the name.
They have pieces, right?
Exactly.
And I just think if you get a guy who can come in and maybe change the culture and change kind of the outlook on this organization and this team, things may be able to
turn around a little
get a little better in
Right.
Washington. Because remember, 5 years ago, even though they weren't good, they made the playoffs with that. Didn't they make the playoffs?
Right, Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
They,
So it hasn't been like a total trash can.
Right.
They did have a little bright spot in there, and they have talent. It's just they need the culture to change if they want
consistency,
the team to be able to change.
Right.
Because if you look at all the successful franchises in football, they all have front office stability and a good culture.
Right.
And people who are able to, I guess, just eliminate any type of distraction, any type of, thing that would disturb the team and just focus on football. But anyway, I'll get to my second. Matt Rule, great hire for Panthers. I give it an A-. 7 years, $60 million. I like David Tepper. He used to work for the Steelers, part owner for the Steelers, so I know kind of a little bit about him. I like that he went out and got his guy and outbid the Giants for this dude. Look, he doesn't have any NFL coaching experience, Matt Rule. But if you look at what he's done at 2 programs, not just 1, 2 programs, he's taken them from the dumpster to respectability. Right. I'll just say Baylor. 1-11, 7-6, and 11-3. That's incredible. And after all that, what happened with Art Briles and the scrutiny of that university and everything that happened, although we don't need to get into that, the recruiting fell off. They were a disaster. The first year was not good at all. They were one of the worst teams in the country. And to bring him back into the Sugar Bowl, a New Year's Six bowl, and although they didn't win because they got beat by a better, more athletic Georgia team that has 5-star recruits all over the field, it's very impressive what he's done. And if you're a Panthers fan, you just got to give him some time. Right. I think the 3rd year of his tenure with the Panthers is when you can make an accurate judgment on what Matt Rule actually is as an NFL head coach.
I agree.
And then I'll just say my third, and then I'll let you speak. Cowboys and McCarthy, good hire. I don't think it's what many Cowboy fans were expecting. I think they expected kind of maybe like a Lincoln Riley or an Urban Meyer type, or maybe even a Josh McDaniels. And it's very interesting that Josh McDaniels didn't get hired. Joe Judge got hired over Josh McDaniels. Very interesting, but that's another discussion for another day. Look, I give it a B+. B+, you can't go wrong. It's not gonna blow up in your face, right? Green Bay, 13 years, 62% winning percentage. That only trails like Bill Belichick, Mike Tomlin, and one of the Harbaugh brothers. It's crazy what he was able to do. And although he had Aaron Rodgers, Belichick had Brady, Tomlin had Roethlisberger, Harbaugh, they've had some good every Super Bowl winning franchise has a somewhat decent quarterback. 10 wins in the playoffs compared to Jason Garrett's 2 playoff wins in 10 years with Dallas, no Super Bowl appearances, a Super Bowl victory for McCarthy against Pittsburgh in 2011. And look, I think the most important part is he's claimed to have watched film and kind of figured out what went wrong in Green Bay, and it's become a more, I guess, analytics, modern day based coach. And I think that's what Dallas needs.
I agree. So we're just giving our top 3?
Yeah.
Okay. You hit everything right on the head. I'm just going to run through my list. 1, Matt Rule. 2, Ron Rivera. 3, Mike McCarthy.
Okay.
Matt Rule, obviously, David Tepper went and found his guy. I think this is a great hire. I think, like you said, give him 3 years.
Yeah.
This roster needs a bit of an overhaul. I think you give
Absolutely.
Cam Newton 1 more year to see what he can do.
Right.
And then you move on from there. It's losing Luke Kuechly is going to hurt this team, but I think they have a long-term rebuild coming for this team. I don't think they're looking to win now necessarily right now. So
Keep going.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. It's
Yeah, big
intense.
Virginia fans down there. It's all good. Number 2, Ron Rivera. You hit everything that basically needs to be said with that one. The culture needs to change in Washington.
Right.
They got good young talent, and even on defense, you look at this defensive line. They have 2 D tackles that they've gotten out of Alabama over the last 3 years, and you also have Ryan Kerrigan, who's a very underrated player in my opinion. So
Right.
it's just
Talent's there. They just need
You
to
just
fix
need
the
to-
root of the problem, which
Right.
is the culture.
right. It's just a lot of organizational issue with this team. It's a lot of the problems are rooted backstage, and that's I feel like that's always been the problem with this team. So hopefully Ron Rivera can redress it, and if anybody was to do it, it would be him. He's
right.
the guy with experience and credentials to do it. 3, Mike McCarthy. If you guys don't know already, I'm a Cowboys fan. I like the hire. I think it's a safe hire, and I think at the very least, the floor is raised now. I feel like he's a better coach than Jason Garrett. I think it's an upgrade, but I just hope that he at least knows that we need a more modern offense.
Yeah.
He needs to let Kellen Moore implement the more modern offense that we were seeing in the first few games of the season. We were seeing a lot more motion, a lot more read option, even some reverses, some creativity. That's a lot of the stuff that we need. I think it'll work out. I think it'll work out good.
Okay. So 23 minutes in. That is our NFL discussion. So we did our predictions. I have San Francisco and Kansas City in the Super Bowl. You have Tennessee and San Francisco in the Super Bowl.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with that. And then we touched on coaching hires. So let's go ahead and transition to the NBA. And I think for context, in case you guys aren't really following the standings, we are midway through the season. The Bucks-Celtics game was the official halfway point, the 615th game. So you can do the math as you please. We're going to give grades to about the top 4, top 5 teams in each conference. So in the Eastern Conference, we'll start there. The Bucks at 38-6 have the 1 seed and probably will stay there for the rest of the year. The Heat 29-12, very impressive. 7.5 games back though. The Celtics right now are sitting in the 3 seed. They are tied with the Raptors, who are sitting in the 4 seed, I guess, based on head-to-head tiebreaker. And then the Pacers, who have lost, who haven't had Victor Oladipo and Malcolm Brogdon for a good portion of the season, are sitting only a half game back of the Celtics for the 3 seed at 27-15. So we'll start by grading these teams, and then we'll go to the West. Starting off with, I guess, the best team, the Milwaukee Bucks. Is there much that we need to say?
Everything runs through Giannis here. The most impressive part about Giannis is that every single year he's come back improved. You see every single year he has something added to his repertoire, whether it's the 3-point shot, whether it's the post game, whether it's just being stronger. Every single year he's made an improvement, and this year is no different. Shooting 32% from behind the arc. If you told us that a year ago, I think I would have laughed at you. He was shooting 11% last year, most of the year. So the fact that he's making people respect him from back there is a huge boost for this team. In addition, they lost Malcolm Brogdon, but having Dante DiVincenzo emerge off the bench, and Wesley Matthews giving them great defense in the starting lineup and solid shooting as well. I think he's been a very underrated player for a long time. Former Maverick, by the way. This team, I think this season couldn't be going any better.
Yeah.
This is.
I mean, all I have to say is, okay, you probably have the repeat MVP on your team in Giannis Antetokounmpo, and believe it or not, averaging 30 points and 14 rebounds, he's actually getting better, which is very scary for the NBA. They're on pace to win 70 games. Probably more than that now because they're now 38-6. So they're probably on pace to win about 71, 72 games this year. With all the parity that we thought we would have this year, to have potentially a 70-win team, that's incredible. And then you mentioned everyone else has just fit in perfectly. It's Wesley Matthews. I believe they have 7 players on their roster right now who are shooting 35% or better from 3-point range. That's just insane.
Yeah.
Wesley Matthews, Chris Middleton, even George Hill has been
52% from 3. Unbelievable.
Fantastic. So, everywhere you look, it's just floor spacers, defenders, they all fall in line with Giannis.
It meshes perfectly.
And a great
it's
coach.
A perfect mesh.
A great coach. It's an A+ for sure. A+.
A+ for me as well.
So the 2 seed. Oh, by the way, Virginia won. They beat Georgia Tech. I know that's kind of off.
Yeah, we got a big Cavalier fan here. You can't blame him.
So 63-58 over Georgia Tech. Nobody cares. Okay, back to the number 2 seed. We'll transition to the Miami Heat.
Right, okay. This team, if you're talking about sleepers to make the Eastern Conference Finals,
this is the team.
This is the team right here. This team doesn't get the respect they deserve. You look at this team, the way they're built, they play team basketball. They play the game the right way. Bam Adebayo,
right.
He's breaking out. He could be an all-star this year. In my opinion, he is a all-star. Obviously, Jimmy Butler, that was a big addition. But really, he's not even the biggest story on this team. The biggest story is the fact that they're young players.
Kendrick Nunn.
They're not only hitting expectations, they're exceeding expectations. And they're taking this team single-handedly to the best level.
So real quick,
to the next level.
If you're Miami, what do you do at the trade deadline? Stand pat or buy?
I think if you're looking to win with Jimmy Butler, when looking at what he's at now, he's at 30 years old. He's maybe has 2 years left of prime, The
question is, though,
I think it's got to be more buyout market.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
You don't want to mess up the chemistry that you have with this team, because that's its best attribute, in my opinion. The way this team plays, if you take out a piece and you throw another piece in, who knows how well it could fit, or it might throw off the entire makeup of this team. So I don't think you do anything too.
I agree with that. I just wanted to ask you to get your opinion. 29-12. And I know there's 7.5 games back in Milwaukee, but they're in the 2 seed, and they get home court for the first and second round, barring that Milwaukee doesn't lose and they end up meeting in the Eastern Conference Finals. But those are the playoffs, and those are a couple of months away. We'll deal with that when it happens.
Right.
18-1 at home. They've just dominated at American Airlines Arena. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. 11-11 on the road. That's kind of but that's okay. Sitting at 29-12, I think you hit it right on the head. The chemistry's been great. Bam Adebayo's breakout is real. He's averaging like 14-10, I believe.
With great defense.
Jimmy Butler finally seems happy after jumping around the different teams. He finally seems to have settled in, and he likes the young players. They're finally starting to gel. Tyler Hero, he's been lights out from beyond the arc. Duncan Robinson has been huge. Huge.
Yeah, massive.
And then Kendrick Nunn, who's averaging like 16 points a game this year, exceeding way above what we ever thought he would be. So,
but I never heard of him.
I don't think I had either. But, yeah, they are a very sexy sleeper pick to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals if this continues. And I think Eric Spoelstra has
sexy sleeper pick. I like the way you said that. That's a little bit of pop.
A little bit of pop.
Yeah, I like that.
So, yeah, I think Eric Spoelstra has to be in Coach of the Year conversations.
Yeah, I agree. To me, it's between Eric Spoelstra and Nate McMillan in Indiana.
Yep.
But we'll hit on Indiana later.
Okay. So I think we should hit on the Celtics, because they're the 3rd seed right now.
Yep.
And they're tied with Toronto. So we can, I guess, kind of double up here and talk about both if you want.
Yeah.
Let's start with Toronto.
Let's
start with Toronto.
Okay, yeah.
What do you have to say? Losing Kawhi, and they're now here 27-14. Only 2 games back of the 2 seed.
You really can't say enough about how good Pascal Siakam has been. This team is so good defensively. I think a lot of people underrated how great of a defensive team this is. In the finals last year and throughout the entire playoffs, they were historically great. So the makeup of this team, it's still, there's so many athletes all over the court. Look at a guy adding like Chris Boucher, another guy, a center that just adds energy and defense. They have so many of those guys. Serge Ibaka, Marcus Gasol, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, all solid defenders. Yeah. So this team is 100% a player to make a Eastern Conference Finals. 100%.
Grade?
The grade to me is an A.
I agree with that.
I think I had them as the 6th seed in my preseason predictions, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. But I don't think you could have ever imagined how good Pascal Siakam has been.
He's a star.
He may be an all-star starter. He certainly would deserve it if he gets it. And let's just take a second to mention OG Anunoby as well. He's been playing great.
He didn't play in those finals.
Yeah.
So he's been an added dimension for sure. It's everyone, all the role players buying into a system and playing under Nick Nurse and surrounding and complimenting Pascal Siakam, who's become an absolute star and, as you said, would be deserving if he did get it of an all-star starter spot.
Right.
If that comes to be. Fred VanVleet keeps getting better.
Yeah.
You mentioned all the other role players they have. I think this is just what stability looks like. And even if they don't have a clear, ceiling of a championship level team,
Right.
they're still going to be there when the playoffs come, and they're going to be a tough out given this continues.
Right. How good defensively they are.
Yeah.
Defense travels.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
So
let's just take a moment to applaud Masai Ujiri.
Yeah.
Just great.
Yeah, it's good. I think you hit the wrong thing. I think it's that one. But that's okay.
I hit the wrong button. Sorry about that. That was a little bit too long of an applause.
Yeah.
But
it's okay. But we can Ujiri, one of the best GMs in the game. Give him credit where credit is due. But let's go ahead and move on to talk about Boston.
Okay.
I mean, you look at this Boston team, it's been, I guess the Kemba Walker for Kyrie Irving exchange has worked out pretty well for them.
Yep, I'd say
they
really,
look a
really
lot,
well.
Better and more together when I watch them. I believe they have 3 players averaging 20 or more points.
Right, only team in the league.
Only team in the league, that's right. With Jason Tatum,
Kemba, and Jaylen Brown.
Kemba and Jaylen Brown, that's right. So a lot of guys who can get buckets on their own. The biggest question with this Celtics team was who do they have in that
big man rotation.
in that front court? Yeah, right. With the big man rotation. But I gotta give Daniel Tice and Enes Kanter and
Robert Williams
a lot of credit. They've done what they've been asked to do, and you look at Robert Williams and Daniel Tice defensively. They're up there in lane their defensive metrics, I guess.
Yeah.
When guarding in the paint, you can go look at the statistics. I don't have them in front of me, but they're up there, and you got to give them credit where credit is due. I think, I don't know what your stance is on Boston at the trade deadline, but for sure, I think this is a B+, A- type grade.
Yeah, I agree. I think I give them an A- simply because how Kemba has fit in so seamlessly.
Right.
I just think him being such a great leader, and also the fact that Jaylen Brown, he really put in the work in the offseason. He's really impressed me this year. His ball handling ability, and just his overall aggressiveness. He looks like a completely different player on the court now. More confident, just making better decisions. The future looks bright.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking of something. The Eastern Conference, if you look at the state of the Eastern Conference, you have, let's see, from 2 to 6, they're all within 3 games of each other. From the 2 seed to the 6, obviously Milwaukee's run away with the number 1. But from the 2 to the 6 seed, there can be a lot of jumbling over these next 4 months as to who gets that home court positioning for the first round of the playoffs. And that's going to be very important in this Eastern Conference. I guess, real quick, before we move to the West, we have to, since we didn't really mention it, we have to give credit to the Pacers for doing what they've done, 27-15, without Victor Oladipo. He's coming back soon, and without Malcolm Brogdon, who's missed time with back spasms. So what they've done, adding T.J. Warren for basically nothing, that worked out really well for them. All those role players, what Nate McMillan has been able to do with what he has been impressive, and they're probably only going to get better because they get one of the stars, add a star like Victor Oladipo. That's going to help them significantly, and we could see them in the 3 or the 4 seed by the time this is all said and done. So very good job by the Pacers. But with that, unless you have anything to say,
before the season, a lot of people were talking about trading either Turner or Sabonis. That's not even a question
question
anymore.
now.
They're meshing really well in the front court. So I think that has to be another key thing to why this has just been such a successful.
So I think we have to
part of the season.
I think we have to talk about 6 teams in the West. I think we have to talk about the Lakers, who are 33-8, a 1 seed, and the Clippers.
Wait, I feel like we skipped a team. Did we skip the Sixers?
Do you want to mention the Sixers? I wasn't sure if you wanted to.
No, actually, we'll skip them. I think we've mentioned them enough on past podcasts to where people know.
You can definitely go find content on the Sixers on our YouTube channel. We've done a lot.
Yeah, Raw Prospect Podcast
on YouTube.
Yeah,
and this podcast will be uploaded onto Spotify
and Apple Music,
as well. So you can. That's where our podcast will most likely be from now on, given what's happened with YouTube. But for those of y'all who don't know, the Lakers are 1, the Nuggets are 2, the Clippers are 3, the Jazz with a push here. They're one of the hottest teams. 4, Rockets 5, and your Mavericks 6 at 27-15. So let's start by addressing the 2 LA teams, the Lakers and the Clippers.
Okay.
So
I'll start with the Lakers first. Okay. This LeBron AD duo is scary. I can't say it enough. The fact that LeBron is leading the league in assists should tell you enough. He's been just dicing up defenses. With this presence in the middle of the floor, it's opened up the floor, spread out defenses. The fact that they're playing so quickly as well is putting pressure on defenses, and it's just a really dominant force just between the two of them carrying this team. Outside of them two, you have a lot of shooting around them. This team is formulated much, much differently from last year's Lakers. Much more shooting. Better rim protection. We have to mention Dwight Howard. The addition of Dwight Howard has been great to go along with JaVale McGee in the starting lineup, obviously. So now you have 2 great rim protectors. So this team, the season has been a success so far. LeBron has played every single game. What more can you ask from him? Really, I'd say he's number 2 in the MVP conversation. And he's just having a great year, man. You can't you can't take anything away from this team. As much as I resent them for the fact that they're such media darlings, but this team is just great all the way around.
Yeah, you mentioned the LeBron James, Anthony Davis duo has been everything that it should be and everything that we expected it to be. It's been just absolutely amazing. You look at the net rating, they have a 12.4 net rating when sharing the floor, LeBron and AD, through 40 games up to this point. And they somehow still have a better mark when LeBron's on the floor without AD, a 13.3 net rating. You talked about it. All the role players have been a revelation. Dwight Howard, Danny Green filling in admirably with his shooting prowess on the outside. Alex Caruso, who's been a story lately, getting those all-star votes. Avery Bradley and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope all have provided the right mix of shooting and defense to get this team where it is. I think they're getting the best possible version of every player in their respective roles. And I think if this continues, this is going to be scary come postseason time. I don't know. What is your position on the Lakers, the trade deadline? What do you think? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, there is the talk about moving Kuzma. But
yeah. Oh, I didn't even mention Kuzma. Okay.
But the thing is, though, he is your juice off the bench. You saw it on Christmas Day. Yeah. He gave them the punch off the bench that they were missing. He's the one guy off the bench that can create his own shot. You can say what you want about his inconsistency, but I think he's a vital part of this team. He's the last young He's the last part of the he's the last part of the young core that they had before.
Yeah.
Sorry about the stuttering, but man, other than that, there's really no piece you can really do because you have a lot of like $5 to $3 million contracts on this Lakers team. So if you want to formulate a trade, it's going to be tough because you got to match the salaries. That's going to be really difficult unless you can throw in KCP. But
Yeah.
how much value does he really have? Not
Yeah.
much. So
Yeah, it's been an A season for the Lakers. Let's talk about the Clippers because in both matchups, the Clippers have beaten the Lakers. Look, we haven't seen a lot of Kawhi Leonard and Paul George together because they've been,
injured, load management,
load management, all that stuff. But when they are on the floor together, they have a 10.7 net rating, so that's pretty good. Look, they're built in a way they're built the way they're supposed to be built. Patrick Beverley, Montrezl Harrell, and Lou Williams. Heck, who's going to win Sixth Man of the Year? One of the two. All these guys, they've built them around these two-star, two-way players. And although, where do they sit right now? They're in the 3 seed, 30-13. They're on a 3-game winning streak, 4 games back at the Lakers. So, and they're tied with the Nuggets, actually, for the 2 seed, if you look at the games back. But anyway, I think what can you say? It's been, they're going to rest. They're going to keep on doing this. They're going to keep Kawhi's, the load management's not going to stop, I don't think. Kawhi's had games where he just takes over. Same with Paul George. I
think he's had 4 straight games over 30 points. He's had a really good stretch lately.
Yeah, and everyone, continues to kind of ignore him in the MVP conversation because of what, the Clippers, they've kind of, the last time I looked, they weren't a 3 seed. They were more of like a 5 or a 6. But anyway, there's not much else to say. It's like when come playoff time, what do you do if you're the Lakers? How do you figure this out? If anyone can do it, it's LeBron and AD. But in the 2 matchups we've seen, it's been what we thought it would be.
Yeah, the amount of depth on this team is what you looked at to start the year, and that's what you pointed to as for the people that picked this team to go to the finals. That's what you pointed to. It's the depth. So many shooters. So many shot creators, Lou Williams, Landry Shamet,
right?
Even Patrick Patterson. You underrate the fact that having a big man to stretch the floor, it's a key part to having a great team in today's NBA. So, come April, May, June, you like what you've seen from Paul George and Kawhi together. I hope they can be on the floor more together, but it is what it is. So
okay, let's talk about the
overall.
Nuggets.
It's been good. I'll give them a B+, I think.
Let's talk about the Nuggets. 2 seed, 29-12, tied with the Clippers for the 2 and the 3 seed. Kind of started slow, but since then they've been what we kind of expected.
Good. Really good. Start the year, Jokic didn't look like himself. He looked out of shape. He just didn't look sharp.
Yeah.
He didn't look like he wanted to be aggressive. But lately he's been back to his his superstar self. Really, he's been really solid, and that's what they need from him. They still are missing that number 2 guy. Jamal Murray has been there most of the year, but he's been a little bit underwhelming, to be honest. I think that's the one downside to what this team has been. But until they get their number 2, you can't really see them as a real contender looking at the Western Conference.
Yeah.
So I still have to. I think I'm going to lower the grade because of that. Because going into the season, you wanted Jamal Murray to assert himself as the number 2, and maybe you'd look for him to average maybe worst case scenario like 18-10 on good efficiency. Not 10, 18 like 6. But still, you'd want to see some progression. You haven't really seen that.
Yeah, Jokic, you mentioned it, started the year in a slump. Murray really hasn't improved on his numbers from last season, which we kind of expected him to. Michael Porter Jr. has been a bright spot. He has flashed his potential.
Yes, he has.
But he still is prone to mistakes because he's young. And, it's just come playoff time, how much are you going to get out of the Will Bartons of the world?
Right.
Michael Porter Jr., Jeremy Grant. That's going to be key. I think right now, even though they're sitting in the 2 seed, I think you would have to place them more in the class of the Houston Rockets, Utah Jazz, kind of on the edge of contention, but not quite there yet.
Not quite, right.
They're not in a bad place by any means.
Yeah,
they're still the 2 seed. They're still end up a top 3 seed in the West, most likely, barring injury. But Michael Malone's still done a good job. It's just, I give it a B. It's solid, but not what I expected.
Right.
I expected more.
Yeah, it's not from a record standpoint expecting more. It's more from a player development standpoint.
Yeah, right.
So, I feel like that those are 2 fair grades there.
Utah Jazz.
Oh, okay. They started the season 12-10.
Right.
We were like, what's wrong with the Jazz? What's going on? Mike Conley was struggling. Then Mike Conley gets hurt, December 17th.
Uh-huh.
And lately they've just been killing it.
17-2 since that 12-10 start.
10-game winning streak currently. But it is interesting. Only one win over a 500 or better team, but they have taken care of business. You're supposed to win those games.
You can't blame the schedule.
You got to beat the teams you play.
Yep.
Then they've done that, so you got to give them credit there. And we know what this team is capable of. So having Rudy Gobert in the middle, Donovan Mitchell playing really, really well. This team is, with Bojan Bogdanovic, I have to mention him. He's been playing great.
The addition of Jordan Clarkson has been really overlooked.
Yes.
He's helped them off the bench.
Right.
Their stars, obviously, about Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and the defensive stalwart that he is. And Bojan Bogdanovic has been good for them. Conley hasn't really been what I kind of expected him to be.
He's kind of
as that second guard with Donovan Mitchell. He's been hurt some, and he's just he's on the back end of his career, kind of. He's out of his prime now. Right. He's not really been affected. But even with that, they still have recovered. They beat the teams who they're supposed to beat. It's a team that's on the edge, but not quite there yet.
Right. It's looking up for them.
Yeah.
You have a lot of young talent on this team. Another key player, Royce O'Neal.
Yep.
Playing at the 4 position, giving them versatility, being able to switch at that 4 spot and hitting the 3-point shot. What we were talking about last year, this team's lack of spacing, he's been another guy that's taken the next step, improving his jump shot.
And then obviously you have Joe Ingles there
opening up the floor. Yeah. Right. So this team has the spacing now. So it comes down to late game situations. Right. Can you execute?
Right.
Donovan Mitchell, can you make the shots? And to be honest, if you put him up against a Clippers, a Lakers, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, because that's what we're saying. Is like these teams like the Nuggets and the Jazz, they're great.
Yeah,
but
they're close.
They're not really the Clippers or the Lakers yet.
Right.
So let's talk about the Rockets. Right now they are 26-14 in the 5 seed. But when I watch them, it's just, I don't know, there's something about it. It just doesn't look right. What are your...
the Russell Westbrook James Harden duo has a plus 7.2 net rating when they're sharing the floor. So what you look at is they're changing the pace of the offense.
They're now
Russell Westbrook
in pace.
has pushing the ball up the floor. Last year, with Chris Paul running point, and obviously James Harden doing a lot of the ball handling, they were like 25th in pace, just one of the slowest teams in the league. And now you're getting out in the open floor, and that way you can get a little bit more easy buckets.
They've beaten the Clippers twice, and they beat the Nuggets. And now they're playing the Lakers right now. I don't know. I'll check that score. But, yeah, I think, Harden and Westbrook on the floor together, 7.2 net rating, can't really dispute any of that. I just think when teams, and Eric Gordon missed an extended period of time with an injury, which didn't help them very much. I just think when teams throw double teams at, James Harden, and kind of ignore Russell Westbrook at the 3-point line, because he's not a good shooter. Like, let's just get that out of the way. He's not going to become one, and he hasn't been one. So I think getting Eric Gordon back helps them. And the pace that they're playing with now is a lot better and a lot more fit to what they're trying to do and what the modern NBA is. And obviously they still jack up a ton of threes. It's just come playoff time, we've said this over and over and over. What do you get out of Harden and the biggest
both those
moments?
Stars, really?
Yeah, and Westbrook.
Yeah,
right.
The problem with this team is defense.
Right.
To me, it's
lackadaisical defense.
I think a lot of the inconsistency you're seeing with this team, it's all on the defensive end. James Harden is giving you what he's going to give you, but really, even if they did play good defense, I still don't see this team as a contender. It's just a lot of ISO ball, and when's the last time you've seen a team win a championship being at the bottom of the league in assists and passes made? Like, that's just not winning basketball.
Happen.
It's just not winning basketball. And what James Harden is doing is great. It's honestly fantastic what he's doing. But is it winning basketball? No. That's just the bottom line here. I really respect taking the chance and going after Russell Westbrook, but I don't think this is going to work out. I think it's going to end up being a disaster in a couple years. He's going to be 33 years old, losing athleticism, getting paid $40 million a year.
Right.
That's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
A nightmare. That's going to be the John Wall situation on steroids.
Right. 58 minutes. We'll finish with your Dallas Mavericks.
Right.
I'll leave the floor to you.
Okay.
And then I'll add
if you guys don't know, if you're new to the show, I'm a huge Dallas sports fan. I'm wearing my Dallas Mavericks jersey right now. I'm actually going to the Mavericks-Clippers game on Tuesday night.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I actually bought the tickets 3 days ago.
Wow.
I got last minute. yeah.
That's
going to be
super
insane.
Fun. And you were just at the 76ers game,
76ers
and they
game,
won
right.
that game.
Yeah.
By 18 points. So that's fantastic. But go ahead. Speak.
Okay.
On your team's behalf.
It's all Luka, man. I'm not gonna say it's all Luka, but really I have to give Rick Carlisle a lot of credit. I've been hard on him in the past on being tough on young players, but really his offensive system with the ball movement, with the flow offense, it's really showcased this team's strength, which is having a lot of shooters. Steph Curry, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, even he's shooting 37% from three this year. He's having a career year. Maxi Kleber, Kristaps Porzingis, of course. So having all of these shooters on the team, having Luka run the show,
Yeah.
it's opened up everything. You're getting open shots all around. I love this team.
I do too.
It's fun to watch.
It's very fun to watch. Watching Luka Doncic, I mean, I can't get enough of it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Almost averaging a Is he average? No,
not quite.
Not quite, but he's very close.
Yeah, 28.8 points per game, 9.9 assists, 9.1 rebounds. If I watch him every night, that's the only reason. I'm a huge Cowboys fan.
Yeah, 28.9 points, 9.7 rebounds, 9 assists. He's that close to a triple-double. Yeah. And I was watching the game last night, what he did against the Trailblazers.
Yeah. Yeah. When he's hitting his threes,
it's beautiful.
Good luck guarding him. Yeah. He's only shooting 32% this year, but the potential is there. I think in the following years to come, I feel like he can become a 38, 35% shooter. And it's great
that they have shooters around him because I believe his best ability is his passing ability.
Yeah.
His scoring ability is unbelievable, but the ability he has to play make and see the court and just find the open guy every single time, I think that's why he's averaging 9 assists. I mean, it's just
it's really special, honestly. Wow. Luka is just crazy, man.
He's 20 years old.
Yeah, he's 2 years older than us. Isn't that like
two?
I almost said he's my sister's age.
I almost said he's 2 years old. You gotta laugh on that one. But yeah, 20 years old. We're gonna see this guy play for the next 15 years? I mean, it's gonna be insane.
Oof, wow. Yeah.
I mean, you can say he might not even be in his. He's not in his prime yet.
He's not even close to his prime.
Not even close.
And the thing is, his style of play, I feel like he can sustain this. Really, he doesn't put his body in harm's way a lot because he's not a high flyer. He's not. Yeah. He's not trying to. He does draw a lot of contact though. That is one concern, but. Really, I have to give this team an A. It
is an A, for sure.
A lot of, even me, I didn't think this team was going to be this good. I thought they could compete for the AC. I was like, that's the goal this year: make the playoffs, get some playoff experience. But seeing this team now, what it's become, it's so good to see.
Even if you don't get that home court, and I don't know, let's see, NBA standings.
We've been really good on the road this year, so I'm not even worried about that.
Right. Well, yeah, there you go. I mean, you're going to be if it comes down to it, and you're like whatever seed you are, you're going to be a really tough out for whoever you face.
Right.
And if those teams don't watch out,
yeah, they could get bounced.
They could get bounced early. So I'm talking about the Nuggets. If you all face the Nuggets or the Jazz or the Rockets. I mean, we don't know how this is going to shape out and change over the next 4 months. But I mean, it's going to be scary come playoff time.
Right. I agree.
NBA's in good hands. Luka Doncic, Trae Young,
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
John. Let's touch on the Grizzlies real quick.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Did you see this coming?
No.
I didn't either.
No.
I thought, oh my goodness, I thought this team was going to win 25 games.
Yeah. They've already won 20.
Yeah.
20 games.
Yeah.
They're sitting in the 8 seed right now.
They won 7 in a row.
John Morant's the runaway
Rookie of the Year. No questions asked.
No arguments.
There's no one close.
Yeah.
There's no one close.
No one even close. It's been... I don't know how they've done it with Jaren Jackson. I mean, I understand. They have a lot of young talent. Jaren Jackson Jr., But, like, Jonas Valanciunas and, I mean, I have to give them, like, a B+, A-. For where they are and what we expected, they've really exceeded expectations.
I think I have to give them the A+.
There
I mean, based on expectations, really, they've exceeded everything. And really, looking at it, you couldn't have expected Jaren Jackson to be averaging 19 a game also. So you have two guys that are two of your young pieces emerging into star players. And that's what you love to see as a team that's rebuilding. That is a great rebuild right there by the Memphis Grizzlies. Efficient. They did it in like 2 years. They traded for draft picks, traded for young players.
What about the Thunder?
Made it work.
23-19, and think about all the draft picks they acquired in the Paul George trade.
Yeah. Hey, with the way the Thunder did it, with the way the Clippers did it, they're rebuilding. Even the Celtics. I think we're seeing the death of tanking right now in the NBA. We're seeing teams. We're going to stay competitive. We're going to trade for pieces. We're going to trade for draft picks. And
Right.
we're just going to remain competitive and then go into free agency and see what happens. Because when you have young pieces, that's where the free agents want to go.
Right.
So tanking is as good as done. I feel like, because if you look at it, the notable tankers of the world, the Sixers, for example.
Yeah.
You have obviously the process worked to an extent, but if you think about fit, it doesn't fit at all. So, I mean, if you're gonna throw away your future and try to lose and draft guys, the thing is, it's hard to stop losing. The culture is like tainted. I think all those losing seasons are still in their minds.
Right.
I feel like I think it's still holding them back. I think it's created a lazy culture to their team. And if you think about the Clippers, it's the complete opposite. You've got a bunch of dogs that compete, that just fight for every loose ball, you know? So, I don't know, man.
I think that's going to wrap it up.
That was my little rant there.
1 hour, 7 minutes. I applaud us on
Making that efficient.
To recap, we did our Super Bowl prediction.
Takes a second.
Sorry about that. To recap, we did our Super Bowl predictions. We did coaching hires. We touched on our coaching hires, and we finally got this done. And we did NBA mid-season grades. Very efficient. I know I'm going back to school tomorrow. I don't start class till Tuesday, but I'm going back to school tomorrow. UT, I'm not far. You are going to the Mavericks game on Tuesday against the Clippers, so have a lot of fun at that game. We say this is going to be our last podcast for a while, but I believe now with the ability to just record it and say what we feel and not have to live stream on YouTube. If we feel something and we feel the need, I believe you might be hearing from us. You know, if you need to you have something on your mind, you can do it over call, and we might be back on very soon. So, but that's going to do it. This is going to be on Spotify and Apple Music. Right?
Yeah.
So we'll have that up for you guys, and we'll
catch you next time.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.